Now, I know what you're thinking. Why? Why are people still coming up with difficult challenges to do on an already difficult game that was released almost 7 years ago? While I try to think of an acceptable answer to that question, let's turn our attention to the how. How are we going to kill the Vordt of the Boreal Valley in one hit? First, let's establish some rules. As you'd expect, any cheats or modifications of any kind are not allowed. Glitches are allowed to access other areas and obtain materials, but they will not be allowed to perform the actual kill. For example, I will not be using any move swaps, tumble buffs, or bow glitches to kill him. The challenge will also be performed on current patch, which is 1.15.2. With that out of the way, let's get into the method. Riposts are usually ideal for this sort of challenge, as some weapons have enormous crit bonuses which are further multiplied by physical damage buffs. Believe it or not, Vordt actually can be riposted, but since none of his moves are parryable, it would take at least one extra hit to trigger a stagger beforehand. So unfortunately, riposting won't be an option. The other primary options are charged R2s and weapon arts. However, since Vordt has an impressive 1328 HP, that sort of damage is out of reach for nearly every weapon in the game. But it's not unattainable. The Dragon Slayer Great Axe is our weapon of choice, and its devastating weapon art should be the sauce that we need. The only problem is, we need the transposing kiln in order to transpose this weapon, and that item can't be obtained until you reach the Undead Settlement. Don't worry though, there's always a way. Start off by choosing the Thief class, and showing Gundyr what you've learned from watching Hitless runners on Twitch. Then, we'll pick up a few trinkets from the shrine. We can now move along to Highwall, making sure not to miss the gold pine resin on the way. We'll need to grab the tower on the wall bonfire for convenience, and I like to pick up some spare Titanite shards and the raw gem to get a +1 raw short sword. This will come in handy later on. Now, remember that gold pine resin I just told you not to forget? It's going to make this next part a lot easier. If you're having trouble killing Dancer, remember to always stay close and play aggressively to get frequent bleed procs from the bandit knife. Everything else comes down to familiarizing yourself with her moveset. You can also reapply the resin for phase 2, and that'll be the first hard part out of the way. You'll want to level 14 dex and dump the rest into strength for now. You can head back to the Dancer bonfire and approach the Vordt arena. Of course, we're not going to fight him just yet. As soon as you enter, bone right back out of there. The only reason we're doing this is because it's necessary to trigger the boss fight first for the next step to work. Pick up 2 Undead Hunter Charms in the building and head down the stairs into this corner. To make things easier, I've equipped a full set of armor for maximum survivability and unequipped my knife so I don't do too much damage. Hold your shield until you see a parryable attack and then perform a riposte. Congratulations, you're now dead. Or at least the game thinks you are. This means that the door before Vordt, and after, which are not currently loaded due to your distance, are not going to load at all, and you can pretty much walk right through. Now, there are 4 important things we need to gather from the Undead Settlement and Crucifixion Woods: the Transposing Kiln, the Irithyll Straightsword, Flynn's Ring, and some Titanite scales from a ravenous crystal lizard. The +1 short sword combined with charcoal pine resin will make relatively quick work of the Greatwood, who drops the transposing kiln upon death. You can then kill the Outrider Knight fairly easily using the same weapon to obtain your straight sword. Then, take the elevator up and grab Flynn's from the very top of this building. That was easy, wasn't it? Now we just need the Titanite scales. Problem is, the lizard is behind a locked door near the Fair and Keep perimeter bonfire, and you need to light all 3 fires in the swamp to access it. Or you can just trigger a death cam and walk right through it. This is known as Fair and Keep skip, and it's used in almost every speedrun category in this game, except for glitchless of course. Awesome, we have all the materials we need from the settlement in Crucifixion Woods. It's time to head back to Lothric Castle for some additional loot. Light the Dragon Barracks bonfire, and rush this chest for another Titanite scale. It's guarded by a very intimidating Outrider Knight, but as long as you've spent your souls already, it literally doesn't matter if you die here. Just run back again, use some skulls to ascend these stairs, and quit out near this chest to de-aggro the enemies. Our Undead Hunter charm will allow us to loot 3 more Titanite scales, and then there's a 4th on the balcony. Carry on and pick up Red Tearstone Ring, and open this chest for another Titanite scale. Afterward, you can obtain the Night Ring and 3 more scales in this chest. Then drop down to this ledge and kill the dragon's foot using this very advanced method. Another Hunter charm will net us the Sunlight Straightsword, which is another vital component of our one-shot build. Its weapon art provides an 11.5% physical damage buff that lasts for 45 seconds. Finally, there's one more Titanite scale here, and then you can make your way all the way back up to the Dragon Slayer's arena. Now, if you're a coward, make sure to send the elevator back down in case you die. If you're me, make a save state so you don't even have to go to the trouble of walking back. Here's where our pickups from the settlement start to show their worth. The Irithyll Straightsword may not do much base damage in its unupgraded state, but every 2 hits will proc a frost hit, which does immense damage since it's based on the total HP of the boss. Hitting him once with the torch will reset the frost status, and from there, it's just rinse and repeat. I certainly achieved this on my very first try, and I definitely didn't die like this, or this whatsoever. Now things are picking up. Make sure to invest the souls you've obtained from DSA to avoid losing them. Once you reach 35 strength, begin putting all the rest of your souls into Faith. The Night Ring helps us to meet the 40 strength soft cap, so it actually does more good to get Faith scaling on the Dragon Slayer Great Axe after that point. There are now only a few more obstacles left, but they're going to be the hardest we've faced so far. Enter Osiros, the Consumed King. We'll use the same frost build that we used on DSA to kill him, only this time it takes 3 hits to proc frost, and Osiros is a lot more zany and unpredictable. Fortunately for me, I'm pretty cracked at this game, and the compilation of deaths you see here was definitely some other chump, and not something that happened to me while trying to beat him. Oof. Now that that's over, we're almost there. There's conveniently 2 more Titanite scales in this area after Osiros, and our final challenge will be defeating Champion Gundyr. Unlike Osiros, Champ is very weak to parries, and we'll be taking full advantage of this, alternating between parries, ripostes, and torch hits to maximize DPS. The hit I took here was definitely deliberate to set up RTSR, and it's absolutely implausible that I would have died at any point prior to this attempt. With Champion Gundyr defeated, the heavy lifting is out of the way. Drop down into the Flameless Shrine for 2 items of interest, the Coiled Sword Fragment and the Blacksmith Hammer. Homeward coil back to Firelink and perform this instance of parkour to reach Pickle Pea's nest. Trading the Blacksmith Hammer and the Coiled Sword Fragment gives us one last Titanite scale and a Titanite slab, the last 2 items we need for a fully upgraded Great Axe. And that's it. Upgrade your Great Axe enthusiastically and put the remainder of your souls into Faith. Head back to Tower on the Wall one last time, and equip the Sunlight Straightsword and Dragon Slayer Great Axe. Make sure not to wear any additional armor other than what you see here, which is purely for fashion purposes. Head down to this ledge, and if you've done things properly, it'll be an instant Red Tearstone Ring setup. When your HP is below 20%, Red Tearstone Ring boosts your damage by 20%, which is a large chunk of the damage we'll need. Having painstakingly gathered all the necessary armaments, we are now ready to stand before the door of the Great Vordt once more. With Red Tearstone Ring already active, all we need to do now is cast Oath of Sunlight and then unequip the Sunlight Straightsword to get the maximum boost from Flynn's Ring. Then, with our buffs active and our build complete, it's finally time to take him on. At the beginning of this video, I posed the question why? Why are we still searching for harder challenges in a game that's well past the prime of its popularity? Well, I think I have an answer now. Every so often a game comes along that's so exceptional, so replayable, and so unique that you'll find any excuse to come back to it. Dark Souls 3 is certainly that game for me. It's one of those precious few games that you can get absolutely lost in. Even after spending well over 1,000 hours in this game, in various challenge runs and casual playthroughs, there's still new challenges to be done, and new things to discover. I think there's something extremely special about that.